and welcome to my channel. My name is Martine, and if you are new here, I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly, but also with some tropical insights, and I focus on both relationship and natal astrology. And if you like this video and you would like to see more content from me, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell to see when I will post a new video. And also, if you're interested in a personal consultation, I do consultations on a wide variety of topics. You can check out the video description. I will leave my contact information there, and you can email me and I will send you a full pricing list of the reading options that I offer in astrology and tarot and all the other further relevant information. And with respect to tarot readings, because I also do tarot readings, you might want to also check out my tarot channel, which I will be linking also in the video description as well as in the pinned comment. You might want to check it out. Maybe subscribe if you're interested in tarot. I would greatly appreciate it. And I also do tarot readings, and you can email me at the same email address if you want to find out more about tarot readings. All right, so today's video is going to be in continuation with the Darakaraka series, which is namely going to be about Jupiter as Darakaraka. I'm going to start by saying, once again, if you are completely new to the concept of Darakaraka, I will be linking all the relevant videos in the descriptions. I have done one video in particular where I go more into details about what the Darakaraka is, how to find out what your Darakaraka is, what it stands for, but very briefly, this is one of the several points to be checked in a horoscope that basically describe the kind of partner you are most likely to end up with in long-term relationships, especially in marriage. And so, getting straight into it, Jupiter is Darakaraka. So first of all, what are your particular needs in a relationship? What aspect of a relationship is most important to you when you have this Darakaraka? Basically, it's everything that Jupiter stands for. So you are going to need a partner that you can look up to almost, as if this person is like a mentor, like a guide for you. You need to be with a person who really makes you feel like they are expanding your knowledge of the world, your horizons, basically, that they are constantly stimulating you to learn new things, to get out of your comfort zone. Of course, I always mention this as a disclaimer in any of these videos that situations will vary greatly depending on individual horoscopes, because you know, there could be different influences. And I'm going to get more into what happens when Jupiter is influenced by different planets by the end of this video, but you would still need to look at basically all of the different indicators that describe your spouse archetype to see how this is going to play out. But with respect to Jupiter, going back to the basics of what this means is you're looking for someone who's kind of like a guide, who's like a mentor. And also, I have mentioned this, and those of you who maybe have watched a lot of my videos before, you know this, that Jupiter is also the original spouse archetype in a woman's horoscope. So Venus is the wife archetype for a man, and Jupiter is the husband archetype for a woman. And I also, when I mentioned this before, I did say that one of the reasons why Jupiter is the husband archetype as opposed to Mars in a woman's horoscope is because Jupiter is connected to legacy and especially children. So Jupiter is like this, you know, basically kind of a mixture of a sort of paternal figure and a guide and a mentor, and also someone who is spiritually able to support the partner, basically. So there's a spiritual connection with Jupiter. Jupiter also cares about children and teaching. This is also why Jupiter is connected to teaching professions in general, because the Jupiterians are idealistic and they care about guiding those who are in a lesser position, as in, you know, maybe just starting out in life, such as children. And yes, they care very much about leaving a legacy, right? So this is to a large extent why Jupiter is also the original husband archetype in a woman's horoscope. But even if you are a man, you will be drawn to a woman who possesses Jupiterian qualities, and basically you will be seeking the same things. You will be seeking a partner whom you could admire, especially intellectually. So you admire people who are worldly, who think outside the box, and, you know, like I said, people who are gonna help you grow, right? People that you can feel you can grow with. And this means on every plane, basically, but mostly it will be, you know, on a spiritual, intellectual plane, right? But it's also going to be with respect to wealth, because Jupiter also rules cash flow. So yes, you're going to expect basically, you know, the full package when it comes to relationships. Jupiter is also a predominantly masculine energy, but it's not like connected to, you know, what you would see as macho culture in the world. It's more about, you know, knowledge, philosophy, learning, but it is about, you know, emphasizing things like getting outside of your comfort zone, traveling, you know, getting acquainted with other cultures, seeing things from the big picture, you know, ideals and beliefs, fighting for what you believe in, even to some extent, especially if you have some Mars aspecting Jupiter in your horoscope. But basically, by and large, you're going to want someone that you can grow together with, someone that you can also admire, especially intellectually, and someone who will most likely want to have kids, right? Someone who is interested in building a legacy with you and really has a spiritual perspective on relationships and marriage. All right, so the kind of partner you attract very much is going to be this Jupiterian kind of person. And of course, when it comes to the partner you attract, there's always that question of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So is it that you attract these kinds of people, or is it just that these are the only kinds of people that you even consider as partners? It could be, you know, the truth could be somewhere halfway. But yes, you're going to attract a partner who is like this, you know, worldly, educated, expansive, likes to travel, right? So the typical archetype of Jupiter is like a combination between Pisces and Sagittarius. So it's going to be, you know, this is a person who cares about really learning a lot of things, constantly learning new things, you know, having a philosophical approach, also being tolerant, you know, so you're going to want someone that you can even travel with. But again, this will depend a lot on what else is going on in the horoscope, right? So yes, these are the general things. You're probably going to want someone who has a vision for their life as well as your life together as a couple, right? And also someone who has a strong sense of faith. A person who is guided by a strong sense of faith in life and strong ideals. You know, you might even need this, you might even have this need to feel like you two are fighting for the same thing. You know, you're holding the same belief system, the same ideals, you know, you know, you're building something together for the long term based on the same principles, the same moral values and beliefs, because Jupiter also rules beliefs and, you know, to some extent is also connected with religion because it rules beliefs. All right, so these are the general descriptions. Now, Jupiter is healthiest in Cancer, where it's exalted, and Pisces and Sagittarius second, which are its own signs, the signs that it rules. So the sign that it rules. So these are the signs that are healthiest. And again, if you are a woman especially, this is not, you know, applying to men. But if you are a woman, I did do a video where I talked about how Jupiter relates to whether your spouse is going to support you and stuff like that. I talked about karma, and I talked about how Jupiter acts in every sign basically based on karma. You know, I'm not going to get into that topic now, but I will be linking that video in the video description, and you can go ahead and check it out if you want to find out more about it. I also gave some remedies there at the end of the video, so yeah, it's a pretty long one. I just thought I would throw it in because it's relevant. And Yes, so going to more individual descriptions here, when Jupiter is not particularly healthy, let's say Jupiter is in, especially when it's in Capricorn, to a lesser extent if it's in Aquarius. And again, when I talk about signs, it's always very important to look at nakshatras as well, because the nakshatras have certain rulers and the signs have other rulers, right? So there's a difference between, let's say, Aquarius in Dhanishta and Aquarius in Purva Bhadrapada, right? Purva Bhadrapada is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is going to be more comfortable in Purva Bhadrapada, but there's still going to be some, you know, potentially negative expressions there because this is a very savage nakshatra. And so basically my point is I'm not going to go here through every single position by nakshatra or sign, or I'm just using different examples to illustrate how this could vary because, you know, going through all of them would take forever. But if Jupiter is not particularly healthy, especially if it's, let's say if it's affected by Venus, so let's say it's aspected by Venus, or if it's in Taurus, Libra to some extent, or if it's a nakshatra ruled by Venus to a lesser extent, you could attract a partner who's very easily led astray by physical pleasures, right? Hedonistic pursuits. You could attract a partner who maybe only, not only, but mainly is drawn to you for your looks, especially if you are a woman. But even if you're a man, this could be true. So if you have Jupiter, let's say, aspected by the Sun, this is generally a good position. You're going to have a partner who mixes, you know, Jupiterian qualities with Leonian qualities. And Jupiter and the Sun go pretty well together. They're buddies. So you're going to attract a partner who has, you know, a lot of confidence, a lot of self-assurance, is self-motivated, also very creative, most likely is, you know, comfortable in leading positions, comfortable to take the center stage in situations. This could even be a person who maybe is some kind of a leader, or just a person that easily stands out within a group or within a community. And this person could also be very creative in a number of fields, basically, but the Sun is especially connected to dramatic arts. Another thing that could happen with the Sun, and I probably should have mentioned this also, actually no, scratch this because I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm going to talk about this in a separate video about the Sun. I was going to say something, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure if this applies also to the aspect of the Darakaraka. So in any case, if you have Jupiter with the Sun, or let's say in a nakshatra of the Sun or Leo, yes, you could have a partner that has more Jupiterian qualities. If, however, let's say you have Jupiter in Leo, but then you also have a malefic aspect, depending on the planet in question, you could get different results. Like if you have Mars aspecting Jupiter in Leo, you might get a partner that is extremely willful and could be, you know, how should I put it, very headstrong to the point where they're not very compromising and might be on the selfish side, right? So, and also maybe a little bit impatient and a tad argumentative. If you have, let's say, Jupiter and Leo aspected by Rahu, you could have a person who really wants to get a lot of attention, and they might resort to all kinds of means to get as much attention as possible, to get as much money as possible, and as much status, as much clout, let's say, as possible. Even sometimes might resort to things like deception. Although, yes, generally, when you have a connection between Jupiter and Rahu, it's really important to see what sign and what nakshatra Rahu is in, and see which one of these is more powerful. Because if Rahu is more powerful, it might be strong enough to negatively influence Jupiter. Otherwise, if Jupiter is stronger, then Rahu will be tame. You know, Rahu will just do whatever Jupiter dictates. And, you know, you will see the more positive qualities of this, which is a person that is, let's say, maybe more interested in state-of-the-art technology, you know, in touch with everything that is new, likes to study a lot of things to do with state-of-the-art technology. That is more of Rahu. And again, depending on what signs are involved, you could get different results. Let's say when you have Jupiter with the moon, this is generally a very good position. This is also why Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So the only two aspects that you can have that are mutual aspects between the moon and Jupiter are the conjunction and the opposition. But you could also have Jupiter single aspecting the moon, but that pertains more to moon as Darakaraka being aspected by Jupiter. In this case, though, so if you have a mutual aspect between Jupiter and the moon, this is more likely to be a positive thing because these are friends. So both the moon and Jupiter are gentle planets, and this is definitely going to bring a spouse that really wants to have a family, wants to have kids, you know, is probably going to bring a lot of emotional devotion, and a person who is also very protective of the family and everything within the family, including the partner. And it's also going to be important to you to have an emotional connection with this person. If you, let's say you have Jupiter with Mercury, this is one of those that is not particularly happy, again, because Mercury and Jupiter are to some extent enemies, because they are ruling the opposite signs, basically. So Mercury is going to create a more scattered Jupiterian energy. So you could have a person who expands, you could attract a partner who expands their energy in a multitude of directions, but maybe has difficulty following through. This could also create a person who is easily distracted. And this person could be easily distracted even with respect to the relationship, right? So maybe a person who is not very decisive with respect to committing to the relationship, you know, might have a tendency to be kind of a Peter Pan, having wandering eyes, that kind of thing. And this, again, applies irrespective of your gender. But I would say it is everything with Jupiter applies doubly so for women, just because, for straight women, I should mention this, just because Jupiter is the original husband archetype as per, you know, Vedic teachings in a woman's chart. So, yes, everything will apply doubly, just as Venus as Darakaraka will apply doubly for men, basically, because Venus is the original wife archetype for men. For straight men, again. Like, if you are LGBTQ, it depends on what energy you identify most with. That's how I look at it. Right, so, going to other example, let's say if Jupiter, this is a fun one. If Jupiter is aspected by Saturn, this is not a happy, I mean, I'm not going to sound like super fatalistic. Of course, there are pluses and minuses to all of these combinations. But again, Saturn and Jupiter are not the best, most harmonious couple, because Saturn is about restriction. They basically stand for very opposing principles, right? Jupiter is about expansion and about tolerance and understanding the big picture and optimism and faith and all that stuff, whereas Saturn is pessimism and looking for the worst case scenario, preparing for the worst case scenario, that kind of thing. And also being, you know, pessimistic, restrictive, orthodox, quote unquote, and not particularly tolerant, and basically staying in an energy of restriction and fear and, you know, kind of survival, sort of. So when you have a contact between Jupiter and Saturn, especially mutual contact, which is opposition or conjunction, but to a lesser extent also Saturn aspects Jupiter by third aspect or 10th aspect. And of course also if Jupiter is sitting in Capricorn, to a lesser extent Aquarius, which is co-ruled by Rahu, but also ruled by Saturn. And to some extent also, if you have Jupiter in a nakshatra that is ruled by Saturn, you could attract a partner that will tend to be more orthodox, right? So here you could definitely you're more likely to attract a partner that actually subscribes to an organized religion. And this is provided that there isn't a stronger influence that, you know, counter attacks this. Like, let's say if you have, let's say, more Rahu energy on Jupiter as opposed to Saturn, then you're probably not going to see someone who's very orthodox, because Rahu is the opposite of orthodoxy. Also, same thing with Ketu, right? You could have a person who's very spiritual, might be dabbling in different systems of faith, but may never really fully subscribe to an organized religion. However, if the energy on Jupiter is predominantly Saturnian, like let's say if you have Jupiter in Capricorn conjunct Saturn, in which case Saturn is clearly going to have the upper hand in this conjunction because it's in its own sign, then you're probably going to attract a partner that is really orthodox, right? A person who is old-fashioned, wants to stick to the way things are done, especially in their culture. But the plus side of this is this person is also going to be very dependable, especially when it comes to practical things, and very responsible as well. And of course, this is also one of those combinations that can create an older spouse. And again, if you're interested, I will be linking a video in the video description. I did this a while ago, and I think I named it something like age gaps and controversial relationships, something like that. I talked there about, you know, the different combinations that might show that you might attract an older or a younger spouse, just in case you're curious. And then if you have, let's say, Jupiter aspected by Ketu, this is a person that is definitely going to be extremely spiritual. A person who is probably going to be reading a lot of philosophy, you know, learning about different religions, cultures, practices, definitely might be into things like, you know, astrology, tarot, Wicca maybe. Of course, a lot, again, depends on what sign this is taking place in. If you have this conjunction in Scorpio, especially in Jeshta, I would, you know, I would be cautious about who I'm dating, because here you could literally get into someone who might be into black magic and voodoo and whatever. Be careful if they're wearing an amulet, especially, because they may have dabbled in stuff. Yeah, okay, this is okay, semi-joking, okay, I'm not trying to make you be paranoid, but I'm not excluding the possibility with these combinations. So yes, I think I have talked about just about every different energy and how it may influence Jupiter. Yeah, pretty much. These are, of course, general descriptions, and I also mentioned this in every video, definitely every video I have done in this series, because it is really important to see how these planets interact with one another and what is going on there. There are a lot of different things that could factor in and could change the original descriptions that I gave here. But I think this is, you know, good to give you a general idea of how to read this as Darakaraka. And I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, do not forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and click on the notifications bell to see when I will post a new video, and also comment in the comment section with anything you would like to give as feedback, or maybe suggestions for future topics you would like to see covered. And also, if you're interested in a personal consultation, astrology or tarot, you can email me at the email in the video description, and I will send you further information about that. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you at a future video on my channel. Thank you.